cheton चेत अंशून पुरुषः पृथक् चेतोंशून पुरुषः पृथक् विभूति प्रसवं त्वन्ये मन्यन्ते सृष्टिचिन्तिकाः स्वप्नमाया स्वरूपेति सृष्टि अन्यैर्विकल्पिता इच्छा मात्रं प्रभो सृष्टिः इति सृष्टौ विनिश्चिताः कालात् प्रसूतिं भूतानां मन्यन्ते कालचिन्तिकाः भोगार्थं सृष्टित्यन्ये क्रीडार्थमिति चापरे देवस्यैष स्वभावोऽयम् आप्तकामस्य का स्पृहा So, in the first 5 karikas that we have been studying, it made a comparative study of the first 3 padas of Atma, the first 3 quarters of Atma, in the form of Vishwa, Taijasa and Pragya. We saw that. And also, so that is the observer, the relative observer in the 3 padas, the relative roles that we play in the 3 portions of our life, namely the Jagrat Avastha, the waking role, the sleep role, and the Swapna Avastha, all 3 roles. And also it pointed out that the 3 worlds that appear to me in the form of Virat. So right now we are primarily looking at Virat. Certainly the Hiranyagarbha is embedded in it, in the sense that the thoughts about the Virat are also there. This is good, this is bad, all of that is still there. That's why we studied, this is an important thing, that the Jagrat Avastha and the Swapna Avastha are not totally separate from each other. The Swapna Avastha is almost completely mental, but during the Jagrat Avastha also it is there. Mostly it is actually mental changes and so on. Anyway, so the 3 observed worlds that correspond to the 3 observers were Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. So here one thing to appreciate about Ishvara as the world when I am in deep sleep. That doesn't mean that the Ishvara is not there in the other worlds, but the Ishvara is there primarily in the world in deep sleep. What you observe is a very intimate, close view of Brahman, of Ishvara. We just fail to recognize it, but we have that experience every day. Every 24 hours, we have that. So now in this Ishvara, some interesting thing is being pointed out. It says that the Ishvara is associated with the causal body and the causal universe at the total level. What does that mean? What it means is that we should appreciate that Ishvara is the fundamental cause from which all experiences take place. So even if you are to look at it from an individual level, so if you look at it from this vyashti rather than samashti, there also you find that the deep sleep is a cessation of the manifestation. But the cessation of the manifestation is not disappearance of the manifestation. So this is an important thing which will be carried forth in the next 4 karikas. Why? Because it points out the importance of the word shrishti. Shrishti in English would be translated as creation. So this is an important thing that we should just be very familiar with now. This is, by now we should be really familiar with it. But just to point out what we should be familiar with, it is pointed out that look at the deep sleep is what is called causal body. So we have 3 bodies. Each individual is associated with 3 kinds of bodies, as you know. So one is the sthula sharira, gross body, which has a particular form and it has its own laws. It jayate, vardate, viparinamate, then apakshiyate, vinashyati. It has its own laws. This is the gross body. Then we have the sukshma sharira. And the sukshma sharira has its own laws. It is the software, essentially. So we are associated with that. Then the 3rd body we are associated with is called causal body. Causal body. Causal body means what? I can appreciate the gross body. That was pretty obvious. I think, appreciate the sukshma sharira through my thoughts. But where is this causal body that bothers some people? Where is that causal body? Well, that causal body is the one in which all the gross and the subtle bodies manifest from, and then go back into the seed state. Just like, for example, it was pointed out in one of the Upanishads by the teacher, and so the student also said, "Sir, I don't appreciate this causal body because I don't see it." So the teacher asked the student, so say, bring this the seed of this tree. Do you see anything in the seed? Do you see any signs of the tree? He says, "No, sir, I don't see any." So he says, "Split it up. Do you see any parts of it?" He says, "No, I don't see any parts of it or anything." Now put this into the earth and just observe it after a few days. So the entire DNA structure is just an amazing, what a creation by Ishvara, really. That really the very incipient manifestation of the whole tree, huge tree, is all there in the seed. So then the teacher says, "You see, this is the seed state of the tree." So similarly, this is exactly what is called the causal body of Ishvara, is the causal nature of the Ishvara presents itself as the causal body for the individual and also the causal body of the whole universe. So this is actually, so if you look at the Mandukya's mantra number 6, which we've already done. So it says, if you go back to it on page 2, I think, Eshaha Sarveshwaraha Eshaha Sarvagyaha Eshaha antaryami, eshaha yonihi, sarvasya prabhavau apyayau hi bhutanam. This is the Ishvara. So really Ishvara is the yoni, is where everything comes out from. It is the sthanam where all the manifestation takes place. It is in fact the causal body of the whole universe. So this was given in the 6th verse of the Mandukya, and in the 6th Karika, this is what is pointed out. He says, Prabhavaha sarva bhavanam satamiti vinishchayaha sarvam janayati pranas cheto amshun purusha prithak. So that we'll see in a minute. What does that mean? But so here Gaudapada in the Karika points out this important fact, which is that in fact in the way of describing the creation, the word creation is a not correct one, because the word creation really means one which was not there before. That's what is created means. But in the Sanskrit language, Srishti is really more of a manifestation, much more of almost completely no new creation. This is an important thing for us to see as one of the basic tenets of Hinduism, of Vedanta, that really nothing new is ever created. It is simply a manifestation of the incipient seeds. And so we have never been created. It's not I am like a brand new person. It's a wonderful story that I'll just digress for a minute, that I read from Swami Maheshananji's books and so on. So he said, this is just a story. I don't think it is, but it's a very beautiful story. So there used to be a sadhu. And sadhu was, perhaps, I don't know whether he was a jnani or what, but he was just a mendicant, wonderful person, and very self-satisfied with things. And in fact, they say that the two fundamental things that a sadhu has is a loin cloth to cover his sexual organ, just so that it doesn't look odd to people, although he wouldn't even want to do that. There could be, in fact, there are these completely nanga sadhus that are going around, but the loin cloth was, and the other one is a small kamandalu. So this kamandalu is one for drinking water, and even if somebody gives him some dal and roti, etc., he can just take it, eat it from it. That's the essential thing for him. So, and the other thing is that this sadhu is a parivrajika. Parivrajika means that he is not supposed to, in fact, there is a injunction that a parivrajika is not supposed to sleep in the same bed for more than 3 nights. He's got to keep changing and feel comfortable in all the places. It's not like us. When we went to New York recently, my wife and I, and the beds are all different. Some of them are kind of hard, some of them are not. When you come home, you say, good, this is our own bed. This parivrajika is not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to. Wherever you sleep, if you don't have a bed, that's okay. Ishvara will take care of. This is why India is the only place where it is warm at night time. You don't need to do anything. Here you cannot do this. And in the north also you cannot do that. But in the south, it is so wonderful. Nights are also warm. You don't need anything. Anyway, so this was a sadhu. So the sadhu was going around, going different places and so on. And when he saw a kind of like a big city with a door. You know, they used to have a door for a city so that they would complete. But am I doing something here? Oh, just a second. Let me. Yeah, this would be better. So he just sort of opened the door to see what this city looks like. He was just moving around from place to place. So as soon as he entered, there was a crowd of people around an elephant. And the elephant was holding a mala, a garland of flowers, this through his trunk. And the elephant came up to this sadhu and presented the mala around his neck. So the fellow was very happy that, this is so nice, but he was a little embarrassed. This was the start of something amazing. So everybody just started to come up, and he lifted him up and he says, "You are our new Maharaja." He says, "What? I'm not a Maharaja, I'm just a mendicant, just let me go." He says, "No. We have a rule in our last 2000 years. You know how people choose the Rajas? Sometimes they say through the son, eldest son, is the most common one. Then the other ones are competition, this, that, or the other. We have Raja, which is through our democratic, the system, So everybody has a system. He says, in our town, whoever the elephant puts the mala on, it becomes the Raja. So he says, no, I don't want to become the... He says, "Sorry, sir, you are our Maharaja. And please give us your loincloth and your kamandalu. We'll put it on some kind of a box. And in the meantime, we give you beautiful clothes. And then, and all that. And you're supposed to rule you," and so on. So this fellow was now caught. But he said, this is Ishvara's wish. It's not something that I wanted to do, but what can I do? I'll just do that. So he ruled the whole countryside, the whole city for a while. Then one day, and he did a very good job. Everybody was very happy, and so on and so forth. Then one day, the adjoining Raja said, "This guy is so successful, and he's made everything so successful. I want to really invade him." And so he assembled his whole army and started to invade this city. And everybody was so worried. What is going to happen? They're going to kill us, this, that, or the other. So he says, "You know what? Let me talk to him." So he went to the other Raja and he says, "What is it that you want?" He says, "I want the money that you have, people. Your people are very successful," and so on and so forth. So he says, what I just give it to you?" So he says, "Well, that'll be wonderful." He says, "What about you?" He says, "Don't worry about me. I'm not worried about it, but you want this land, you can have it." And so he talked to all of his people. They said, and he also said, "Please do not mistreat any of my ministers or my old staff, and make them as part of it." So they said, yeah, if you let us give us... So this new Raja came, and he bid goodbye to everybody. He says, "Where is my loincloth and kamandalu?" He says, "It's still there in some box." So he came out, bid them goodbye, and went away. This is the story. Okay? This is our situation. This is our situation. Swami Maheshananji says, look at this. Here's what happens. You have some sukshma sharira, that you carry with you all the time. There's a very long list of things that we carry with us all the time. We'll go over that some other time, but let me go on to the Mandukya. So Swamiji says, here's what happens. You are carrying some simple tools with you for a long time. For a long time. It's not as though something new. Your personality, your views, your ideas, your attitudes are there with you. That is the loincloth, and that's the bare minimum. And you've had it for a long time. And it's not as though those are not changeable. Those can be changed. If the loincloth becomes torn, then he'll probably get a new one. If the kamandalu gets broken, he'll get a new one. But those are the bare minimum that he has. And then you enter into this city through the womb of your mother. And everybody welcomes you. Baby, what a nice baby. And then they feed you. They make you grow. They give you clothes. And you develop a family. And you are now in the middle of this whole thing. And then you feel, how did I come here? They say, listen, you don't ask questions like that. Just like they said, this is our rule. When the elephant puts the mala, you becomes our Raja. So there is no such thing that, you have to have a competition, should I be born here or something. It just happens. And then you spend the whole life. And then you say goodbye. And all you're left with is your kamandalu and your loincloth. Your Sukshma Sharira is still there. And you go on to the next town. In the next town, you are anointed as a new person. And you have experiences and so on and so forth. But in all of those, you're left behind. Just like this mendicant also, other than some memories, and perhaps not even that, he goes on to the next town. This is exactly what our situation is. We have no connection whatsoever. Do you remember any of your relatives from your previous life? Do you care about them? You can't. So similarly, we are just attached to the family, and we are so, and not realizing very soon we are just going to go our own way. No connection whatsoever. And it is better for us to understand that there is no connection. And in fact, if I understand that I have no connection, I enjoy it. I am not constrained by the sukha dukkha of the people and so on and so forth. This is all the prarabdha there is. Ishvara is with me, and I have a long ways to go. And either I go on to the next city, or I just stop traveling. And I'm independent, unmoving. Both are possible. Krama Mukti and Sadhya Mukti, both are possible. But can only happen if I see my identity as being separate from what I'm surrounded by, which just happens to be just a coronation due to no rules except some elephant put the mala on top of me. That's it. Somehow I took birth into this family, and now the whole thing starts. I become a family, I get married, I have children, grandchildren, I get attached to them, all kinds of, and really there is no attachment. No attachment. It's just dreamlike kind of a thing. Beautiful story. So that's our situation. So there, going back to the causal body and the other bodies, so really speaking, one of the one of the fundamental tenets of Vedanta is there is no new creation. It's all a manifestation. And then after that, it goes into the seed form. So here, Swami Paramarthananda pointed out in the translation. I'm just following his translations are very, very, very short and precise. Since I'm doing a revision, I'm not going into the details of Swami Maheswaranji. We have already covered that. So here he says that Ishvara in the potential form has two aspects that he does in the manifestation. So one is the inert material component, and the other one is the consciousness which stays as is. In other words, one is Saguna Brahma and the other one is the Nirguna Brahma. These are the two things that he's got. And in fact, as you also know, this is the same thing, that the Ishvara is both the material cause as well as the intelligent cause. He is also the doer as well as what he becomes. Here Swami Maheswaranji gives a beautiful example. I tell you, this is the first time I've seen this. You know, so we have seen the example of the spider. This is our traditional example, the spider. And also the example of the dreamer. So in the dream also, the dreamer is the intelligent cause, and you become the dream, which is the material cause. So Maheswaranji gives another example. He says, look at the nails in your body. Nails. Toenails, hand nails, and so on. Here's what happens. You are the creator of the increase in the nails. Then you say, well, I'm not the creator. You are the creator as long as you are alive in this body. Only a dead person's nails stop growing. A live person's nails, in fact, it'll be bad. And by the way, the same thing is true for hair. Unless you become completely bald, your hair keep on, I am almost like, I get irritated really. I spent so much money and I just got a haircut just the other day from Supercuts. And again the same thing, they give me a senior discount. So I paid $18.95. Normally it is $20.95. So it's $18.95. And it's irritating that it took her literally 3 minutes. Okay? So even a bald person, oh, I should show you this. The other day I was looking for something in the papers. I finally found my driver's license for the last 30 years. I just, whenever the new one. So the one I should show you is the driver's license from the year 1981 when I was at the Piercy Ashram with Swamiji for 2 years, 1979 to 82. So in 1981, I got a driver's license. In that driver's license, I have a big beard. And my hair are black, and they're all over the place, and the beard is kind of graying. I should really show that to you. That'll be kind of interesting. So even a bald person's hair grows. I wish I was completely bald. Then I don't have to spend $18.95. You have to go there, wait in the line, all of that. But it grows. It gets all kinds of. So the hair and the nail, as long as you're alive, you are the creator of the progress of those. And guess what? They are also you. The nails are, you're not only the creator, but you're also the material. That's why, and Ishvara, for whatever reason, this is a wonderful thing. He has not made the nails that sensitive. So unless you go into, you make a mistake, you can just cut the hair also. It's okay, you're not aware of it. And if he just pinches the skin, then you said, what you doing? Don't cut my skin. But hair and the nails are do not have any pain in it. But the example is that you are the doer and you are the material, both of them. So similarly, Ishvara also, so he is the abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. So this is very well known to us. He is both of them. So here, in the verse number, in the Karika number 6, pranaha sarvam janayati. Pranaha, the second line, sarvam janayati pranaha. So here the word pranaha is a technical word which means it creates the causal universe. So this is through the Maya, it creates the causal universe. This is the insentient component of Ishvara. Insentient. So this is the material. So that's why they say that Maya is the material cause of Ishvara. Prakriti also. Prakriti means the very power. Prakriti and Maya are the one and the same thing. So that is the causal material of the whole world. You know the word Prakriti. I think I've discussed that. Right? Beautiful. Very nice. Swami Maheswaranji pointed this out. I really enjoyed that. He says the word Prakriti comes from Prakarshena Kriti. So Kriti means a composition. For those of you that are music lovers, you'll say Kriti in many of these concerts that are the brothers, and what is the name of it? No, not those. The what's the singers? Anyway, these two brothers that in Hindi, they speak in Hindi. No, No.
He's the music director.
That's the music director. These two brothers that from Banaras Gharana, I did listen to the music all the time. How can I forget?
No, they are all music.
Not Kalyanji Anandji, the recent ones. They were here in Jain Temple also. They sang about a year or so ago. Your name will come in a minute. So he would, for example, say, मैं आपको एक नई कृति सुनाता हूँ. I will now do a new kriti. So kriti means a composition. Prakriti means prakarshena kriti. So the whole world is a composition. It's a kind of a creation, not from brand new, but something from the very knowledge of Ishvara himself, but done in such a manner that there is no problem with it. It is perfect. Even if there is a problem, that is also within the structure of is given to you. That also is part of the Prakriti. Anyway, so here the word pranaha, Swami Paramarthananda pointed out, represents not the life-giving prana, but the entire causal universe. So that's what he says, Sarvam Janayati Pranaha. So the Maya Shakti is the one that creates the material for it. Really not unlike, for example, your own dream. Through your own self, you create this whole scene in front of you. And then you just play in it. It has no substance to it. It just comes out of nowhere and goes back into nowhere, disappears. But in the meantime, it just occupies you. You dream and you suffer and you enjoy and so on and so forth. So this is the prana. Then amshun purushaha prithak. So here, look at this. The Maya, the Sarvam Janayati Sarva Bhavanam. So Ishvara's causal body has two components. One is the material component of the life, and the other one is the unchanging Purusha. So this is Purushaha and Prakriti. Each one of us has a Prakriti, and we are also the Purusha. And the Purusha, as we saw in the meditation, is the unchanging person. And without the unchanging person, you have no other experiences. All the experiences are nothing but Prakriti. And the Purusha is the unchanging nature of Ishvara. And so this is how the origin. So Satams Prabhavaha Sarva Bhavanam Satamiti Vinishchayaha Sarvam Janayati Pranas Cheto Amshun Prithak Amshun Purusha Prithak. Then in number 7, 8 and 9, so one thing that is pointed out is that everyone is very interested in analyzing how the whole creation takes place. How does it happen? Who created it? This is where the uniqueness of Vedanta has to be appreciated. And we'll point that out in a minute, the uniqueness of Vedanta. But let's just look at how everybody has a question and a kind of like an answer. You have a certain viewpoint and you have answers for it. So that's what's given in number 7, 8 and 9. So number 6, 7, 8 and 9 are Shrishti Paravakya. In other words, these are the Vakyas, these are the sentences where the primary thought is how did creation takes place. And so some other views are given here, and none of those views are really completely true. There's some element of truth in it, but let's look at it. We'll make that comment after we go through it. So number 7, Vibhutim prasavam tu anye manyante shrishti chintikaha. Shrishti chintikaha means one who are very fond of thinking about how creation takes place. They are called Shrishti chintikaha. They are just obsessed. How did creation takes place? You can just do your PhD on that. And so they say, Vibhutim prasavam tu anye. Anye means other than Vedantins. They say that this is the glory of the Lord. Why? This is not untrue. There is element of truth in all one of them. Of course it is the Vibhuti of the Lord. But then if you follow it lock, stock and barrel without looking at the fundamental nature of the creation, you get carried away. As though these, for example, the glory of the Lord means as though He is interested in the glory. You know, when you say this is a glorious creation, so now somebody will say, look at my glorious creation. What a great artist I am. And look at my knowledge and so on. So when you say the glory of the Ishvara, which is fine, but it's not as though that he's proud of that or anything. This is his nature. See, the fundamental part of the Vedantic view is this is the nature, swabhava. In fact, if you look at the last line of the verse number 9, Devasya eshaha swabhavaha ayam aptakamasya kaspriha. So let's go back, just look at the end of this whole section. So he says that Devaha here means Ishvara, eshaha swabhavaha. Swabhavaha means one which is the very nature. So, as you know, there are two important words to describe anything. One is called Swabhavaha and one is called Swarupaha. You should be familiar with this. So, Swarupaha is Nirguna Brahma, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Swabhavaha is Saguna Brahma. This is the personality. Person and the personality. So the person is Swarupaha and the personality is Swabhavaha. And in the case of Ishvara, Ishvara's personality does not change. It is a complete personality, and it is not as though there was no Ishvara at one time. That's not possible. And in fact, it is not possible that each one of us were not there. We are also part of the Swabhava. So the only thing that happens in terms of the individual is that our sense of isolation finishes. That's all. Our sense of the fact that I am just a limited person, which comes from the fact that you have a 10th man who does not appreciate you are the very 10th man. That changes. He was always the 10th man. No change. This is part of the Swabhava. It's just that as we have said before, really our mistake is that instead of my saying I am just an aspect of the Ishvara, and in fact there is only Ishvara, just projecting through my individual personality. I don't see it that way yet. I will at one time. But at this point I say this is just me. Leave me alone. I know I've got problems, but I'm trying to solve it. Just this is me. That's all that happens. But I am already free. I am already in unlimited, free from all the death. This I have to discover, which was always the Swabhava. So the individual personality may differ, but the total personality is always the same. So here he says, Devasya esha swabhavaha ayam aptakamasya kaspriha. Spriha means the desire to do something, an intense desire, a very dedicated saying, you know what, I gotta do this. This is called spriha. Aptakamasya kaspriha means the one who's the very creator of desires, but himself is not a desiring person. What kind of a spriha can there be? So I pointed that out because going back to Karika number 7, Vibhutim prasavam tu anye manyante shrishti chintikaha. So you see, look at this. This is an important thing to see. In fact, even in our Shastra, Swami Paramarthananda also pointed out, and I agree with him on that, that even in our specific Upanishads and so on, you may find some descriptions that this is the vibhuti of the Ishvara. So it's not as though it is untrue, but the sense of the overall needs to be changed, to be seen, which is, it is the very svabhava. It's not as though he is very proud of that, look at that, it is just the way he is. So that has to be seen. So even though some other people say vibhutim prasavam tu anye, they are both right and wrong. They are partially wrong and partially right in that sense. Then similarly, swapna maya swarupa iti shristi anyaihi vikalpitaha. So they say that it is like a dream, like a magic of something. Others say that. And we also, all these points, we partially agree and partially disagree. So that has to be seen. And this whole thing is going to be much more taken up in detail in Karikas to come. This is just a short version of that. So anyway, Karika number 7 is now finished. Similarly, Karika number 8, Ichha matram prabhoho shrishtihi iti shristau vinishchitaha. So Ichha matram prabhoho means that he wants to do it. This is the will of the Lord. Ichha, he's very desirous. I think I should do this. This will be wonderful to do. Again, partially true, partially untrue. Then, kalat prasutim bhutanam manyante kala chintika. So, kala chintika means one who are obsessed with time. These are the astrologers. Very, very obsessed with. Well, this is, what time were you born again? So it has to be done on the Muhurata. Muhurata is 42 minutes. 42 minutes. So if you want to show your Janam Patri to someone, they won't say, you cannot say that I was born before noon. Not before. What time were you born and where? What was the position of the sun at that time? Then we can tell you what your rest of life, because how long you're going to live. All of that will be, this is called Kala Chintika. If you tell them about Ishvara, they say, I don't think about Ishvara, okay? Don't tell me about that. I am a specialist in time management. How did all these things happen? This is called Kala Chintika. So he says the origination of the beings is from time. Then the last one, Bhoga Artham Srishti Tvanye Krida Artham Achapare. So he says that some consider the creation is for the enjoyment of Ishvara. Bhogartham. He loves to do this. He loves to kill people and have terrorists and then bad people and so on and so forth. He just enjoys the show. So Bhogartham Shishti Tvanye Kridartham iti Chappare. Man, this is the play of the Lord. He likes to have a game. You know, like for example, we have found this so interesting when my wife and I travel on long distances, like 5 hours. We were gone to New York recently, and so you finish your reading within an hour or so. Then you're sitting there and saying, "Okay, what do we do now?" So we always keep cards with us, and we play rummy with my wife and I, and so we play rummy, and then time passes very quickly. she'll say, how come you're always winning? Are you cheating? I said, no, I'm not cheating, this, that, or the other. I'm just, and sometimes I enjoy that she should also win, because if I'm only winning, then she gets, this, I'm not going to play again. This is all fun. We just create a game just so that 4.5 hours pass quickly, and so on. So, I mean, we don't play for that long, but it's enjoyable. It's wonderful. So this is what is called Kridartham Chapare. The Lord enjoys the whole show. This will be wonderful, as though he's separate from it. No. So he ends up with saying, Devasya esha svabhava ayam aptakamasya kaspriha. And so here, a slight introduction to the nature of Ishvara is being given, that he is the causal form. This is the way the seeds are. They fructify and become visible, or they go into a seed state. Then they fructify, manifestation, unmanifest, and so on. Here Swami Maheshanji pointed out, he says, our misappreciation of the self is aided by the fact that there are things that appear to be very long-lasting. Like, for instance, if you say that you are not just a temporary jiva living here for 60, 70, 80 years. In fact, the whole experience is very temporary, and then you are much longer than that. That fact is hard for me to appreciate. Why? Because you find that this earth was there before I came. Himalaya may be changing a little bit, but basically it's been around, and in fact the history says it. Kailash Parvat, Mansarovar, Rishikesh, Mount Everest, these have been there for thousands of years. What are you talking about? Was born in a few years back, and I'm going to disappear, and these things are going to stay. So look at this. My appreciation of myself is primarily dictated by the fact that the outside world seems to be very stable, and I'm just a visitor to it. Not so. Not so. Why? Because even the Himalaya Parvat will disappear one day. In fact, is already disappearing slowly. We just don't see the level of disappearance. It is changing. Everything is changing. The whole earth will be changing. The whole sun is going to cool down. Everything is going to change, except for one thing, which is the self. So this way of looking at, we understand that you have this viewpoint that the whole world is very solid, whereas I am just very temporary. But the fact of the matter it's just the opposite. That the whole creation is very transitory, including Himalaya. Might take a longer time, but so what? You have to look at the very nature of it. That is the swabhava. But what is the swarupa? The self is the only one that cannot change. I mean, it's so interesting. I am the same person in all of in life, till childhood and so on and so forth, from one life to the other, one manifestation to the other. I, conscious, it's the same thing. Not possible for it to change. It is not made up of something that can change. It's not has no parts to it. Independent. So the fact is just the opposite. Opposite in the sense that I feel, I'm just a temporary visitor to this earth, and this earth has been there for a long time. Who am I? I'm just how it is completely reversed. So this whole thinking of Shrishti, the creation, is an important part of my self-examination, and that is what is being highlighted in these karikas. And then now we are done with the first part of the karika, and now we will go into the 7th verse of the Upanishad, na antah pragya na bahish pragyam. Then we'll continue on with the karikas after that. We'll do that next week. Om swasti prajabhyav paripalentam nyayena margena mahim mahisha gobrahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samastha sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini deshoyam shobharahitah brahmana santu nirbhayaः sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaः sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityo ma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.